Guys, what's going on? Before I start with the Coleco Chameleon, because I have a lot to say about this, just a quick disclaimer. I know it sounds cheesy, but I have a lot of people come up to me and saying that they watched my show with their kids and they enjoy it. Being a parent myself, I respect that. I think that's awesome. So this might not be the best video for your kids to watch. I'm pretty pissed. I didn't die. Honestly, I am not the one for confrontation. The last thing I want, I pride myself on having a lot of friends and no enemies that I'm aware of anyway. And I'm not here to change anyone's opinions. Okay, opinions are like assholes. We all have an opinion. I respect others' opinions. I don't expect everyone to agree with my opinion. I don't expect people to watch this video and all of a sudden saying, wow, John, you were absolutely correct. And wow, I'm going to change my opinion. I don't expect people to be that easily swayed. Okay. I'm not here to defend the chameleon either. I think, let's be honest. Let's just be honest. It's beyond defending at this point. Okay. But I simply am here to defend my reputation, defend my integrity, because it's been taken a jab at recently, and that kind of fucking pisses me off, to be honest. To be completely honest with you. So I've been in the part of the community since 2008. I've made a lot of friends. The gaming community, I'll be honest with you guys, means the world to me. You guys are, I know it sounds tacky, but you guys are like family to me. You guys are awesome. Everything about how you feel about my show, about me as a person, means a lot. You can call me ugly, you can call me stupid, whatever, I have a thick skin, but when people start attacking my integrity, I take that very, very seriously. And recently a video came out, and I'll talk about it later in the video, that may indirectly call me out and put me kind of in the corner. So I feel like I have to this video, because I was going to initially kind of stay quiet and distance myself because I don't want to add fuel to the fire, so to speak. I'm not that kind of guy. Okay. So for those who don't know, I am co-owner of a company called Collector Vision Games. We produce new games for old consoles. Okay. So for example, we have games coming out for the modern consoles. We have games coming out for Xbox, Wii U, PS4, Steam, all that good stuff, right? Then we also have games coming out for the classic consoles. So anywhere from Atari 2600, believe it or not, or Commodore 64 to Dreamcast. So it just kind of depends. It's everything in between, okay? So the only reason I mention this is I'm not trying to promote my business to you guys, but it's relevant to my story I'm about to tell you with my involvement with the Chameleon. About a year ago, Mike reached out to me and said, John, I have a problem working on a project. It's called the Retro VGS video game system. I'd like you to be a part of it. I understand your company works on games. Now, I've known Mike for years. I trust the guy. It's how when you have friends, you tend to trust your friends, and obviously. So I had no reason to not trust him. I agreed, and basically the agreement was, I was told that the Retro VGS would run off a FPGA board, and it would be basically you take the ROMs and they'd be able to read those ROMs. So we wouldn't spend any extra time or money on it. We're already working on 2 Super Nintendo games at the time, Tiny Night and City Hunter Caverns of Death. So the agreement was we would just give them the ROM, they would handle the manufacturing side of things, we would get a percentage of each game cart, and we would have a packing game as well. So for every game that system was sold, we get X percent. I'm not going to dive into what that percentage was. A, it's none of your guys' business. B, it's not really relevant to the story. But just know that that was kind of the agreement. Retro VGS failed. Obviously, it was way over expensive. It just was Frankenstein into a whole bunch of things, and playing Unity, and it was really cool, but it just was too much. $400 is way too much for a system out of the get-go. No one wants to pay that. There was no prototype. That was another issue. And during this whole time, people were just going on Mike, and which kind of caught me off guard because he has been involved with other projects like Retro Magazine, which people liked and still enjoy. GameGabble.com, which is like an eBay auction site for gamers, been around for years, and he's done podcasts, Retro Gaming Roundup for years, and people enjoy that. So there was nothing to me that really told me and spoke out like, wow, I should question this guy's motive, because he clearly has had a good track record up until this point. Okay, so I'm like, okay, cool. So the thing obviously fails, and during this time, I reached out to Mike, like, Mike, let's have an interview. I want to get you on my show. We'll talk about your show. I got a lot of slack for that, because during that, I guess at one point I said something like that, what do you want to address to the haters in the Atari age, right? So that was wrong and ignorant of me. I apologize. I know that now. So I took the video down, because the system is no longer, going to be. So why even have that video up? It's my channel. I can take videos down. And also, I felt bad at what I said there, and I apologized to the community. I really do. I feel bad what I said. So people are upset with me that I took that video down. It's like, oh my God, I'm guilty of taking my own video down. Oh, shame on me. Shame on me. God, it's such a horrible, terrible thing. You took your video down. Fuck. Um, so, okay. So we fast forward. Campaign Retro VGS is done. Mike reached out to me again. Same kind of deal. We weren't going to do Tiny Night because it just wouldn't be ready for Christmas this year, to be honest with you. So he said City Hunter. We talked about doing a packing game. He told me about all the things, other projects that were going on, really good things about retailers possibly carrying the system, among other things, right? And again, none of my business to talk about. I don't want to dive into details. These are all discussed behind closed doors. But just know that there's reasons and incentives for us to do that. Now, again, I had nothing to do with the hardware side of things or any decisions on behind it. We fast forward to the toy fair. They show the back of the console. Has the AV cables out like the Super Nintendo, the AC adapters like the Super Nintendo, controllers like Super Nintendo controllers. It doesn't look good for and this is when I saw this video. Saw this picture rather. It's the first time I saw it as well. So it caught me off guard as well. So people assume that like I was somehow involved with this shit from the beginning and I have some stake in the company. I guess I do to the point where game sales, I'd make some percentage of game sales, but I'm not a part of like as far as any of the decisions. So I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? What is all this shit? And I'm like, you guys, I'm like, this is suspect, right? This looks like a Super Nintendo and a Jaguar shell. But the thing, I've talked to several hardware guys, and here's the thing about prototypes, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, and by all means, I am not a hardware guy, okay? So I might be completely off base here, but from my understanding is there are several different types of prototypes in the stage of prototyping, right? So it's not like you just have a prototype and the next one is like the finished product. That's just not how it works. There can be 5, 10, even sometimes 20 or more prototypes before you get to the final. And usually the final prototype looks a lot different than the first prototype or even the 10th prototype. That's the reason why you don't see prototypes for Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, etc. Right? You just don't see them publicly. They keep them hidden for a reason. And during the early types of prototyping stage, it's not uncommon to take parts of other boards and stuff, right, and other products to kind of hodgepodge them together to kind of see how it works. And that could have very much been the case here. I don't know. I'm not defending the Chameleon. I'm just saying could have been the case. That could have been the explanation as far as why there was, Super Nintendo. Mike very much could have opened it up and done a video. He didn't. So again, suspect, right? And I totally agree with you guys on that. Now we're going to fast forward a couple more, I guess a week or so, a couple weeks, and this is the day before the Kickstarter was supposed to launch. Friday is supposed to launch on Friday. This is a Thursday during the morning. At this point, I still had no written contract. Haven't signed a non-disclosure agreement. I have not signed an agreement for City Hunter, which is the only game I agreed to port over to the Chameleon, and I still haven't had the agreement in hand. And so I guess on paper we are not linked to Chameleon at all. I contact Mike. I'm like, what's the deal with it? I even contacted him that Monday before, and I'm like, dude, what's the deal with this? And he's like, I'll get it to you. And I never got it. He was busy. I'm like, whatever. Never get the agreement. Still don't have the agreement. But that day I find out that there's something that changed with an agreement that he had told me about. And again, I don't want to go into too much detail because it's talked behind closed doors. I'm sorry, guys, but just out of respect of our conversation and my word. But I will say this, that something had changed somewhere in that agreement, my understanding, between talking to Mike, and it pissed me off. It frankly did. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm washing my hands of it. I'm out. So literally like the night before the Kickstarter was supposed to launch, Collector Vision Games pulled out. We're like, we are done. And Mike calls me back because he's obviously flustered because Kickstarter was supposed to launch, tomorrow, the next day. And he has no publisher. One of his launch games is out, and all the videos he has shows City Hunter and all that good stuff. He's basically screwed. And he's like, oh, John, I don't know what to do. We're just going to push it back. Kickstarter, we'll figure it all out. And that's probably one of the reasons why the Kickstarter got pushed back, to be honest with you. So the whole thing has been mismanaged from the beginning. I'll be honest with you guys. Has Mike fucked up? Yes. Did he make mistakes along the way? Yes. But here's my point. Who hasn't fucked up? Who hasn't made mistakes? If you are perfect, if you have never fucked up in your life, you've never done mistakes, you've done everything perfect, I would really like to shake your hand because you're probably motherfucking Jesus. Honestly, you probably are. So really, we need to get off our high horse. We need to quit pointing fingers. We need to stop assuming that everything is a conspiracy when really there could be answers to stuff. And when you're looking for facts, guys, go to the source. Look, reach out to Mike, and that's what I did with the Retro VGS, and I try to do anyway. And the reason I'm doing this video is really because I've been indirectly called out, and that was by Pat. And let me just say one thing and make it very, very clear. Pat the NES Punk is a friend of mine. We have known each other for years. I don't know, like 5, 6 years ago, we were at PAX. I had a great time hanging out with him. We hung out with AVGN, James, we hung out with the Game Chasers. it was a great time. We had a fantastic time. It was like actually one of my highlights in my YouTube career, for lack of better words, if that's what you want to call it, because I still have a day job. It's not much of a career for me, but regardless, it was definitely a highlight for me. Let's just say that. So it was a highlight for me. Pat is a super nice guy. As of recently, as of last year, I flew Pat, paid for his flight to come out to Phoenix to my gaming expo that I do called the Game On Expo. I paid for his flight, paid for his hotel, gave him a free booth to sell his merchandise, free table, and I loved to give him a panel. It was awesome. We had a great time, hung out, had beers, whatever. We had a great time. As of last week, I reached out to Pat to come back with Ian this time, for this year later on. I'd love to have him come back, and the invitation's always open for Pat to come in, be a part of Game On Expo year 2. No quarrels with Pat whatsoever, but I do have issues with his recent videos about the Chameleon. And in this video, the most recent one's like a 7-minute video. He posts, talking about the board. Oh, I forgot to mention, of course, one of the most important things, right, is after Kickstarter got postponed, and then they posted a picture of Mike posted a picture of the prototype with the board, and it was like a capture card board in it. Again, caught me completely off base, and if it quacks like a duck, it looks like a duck. Quacks like a duck, walks like a duck. It probably is a duck, right? So that was completely caught me off guard, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Just like everyone else, okay. So back to Pat. He talks about this point. Okay, he brings this up, and he's like, I'm of course paraphrasing, but he's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, and fool me 3 times, fuck you, right? So he's like, in the middle of this video, he's like, fuck, this is fucking bullshit, fuck, and he's all getting worked up. And I'm thinking to myself in this whole video, I'm like, dude, I want to give this guy a hug, honestly, because it's like, does he not realize that there's bigger shit going on in the world? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to downplay the whole Coleco Chameleon, but let's face it, guys, no money was taken. And even with a retro VGS, no one lost any money. I mean, it's like people are like vilifying the situation and making like, oh my God, this is the worst fucking thing. Dude, ISIS is blowing people up everywhere in the world. Kids are starving in the streets. He's talking this video like it's fucking World War III. I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, fuck, this is fucking bullshit. He's rallying the troops, right? And like in the between the video, he's like, in the middle of it, he's like, he's calling out websites for posting, the press releases for the Chameleon. Like, come on, dude. Pat, you have a website. I know you know how this works. But when you get a press release, it's not your job you are not accountable for the action of that company. I mean, that's bullshit, okay? And then he calls out Retro Magazine, which, again, ironic, and something he failed to mention, is that Pat, at one time when Store first started Retro Magazine, he was a key contributor to the magazine. He had worked closely with Mike. He was like on the team. I don't know if he was paid or freelance. That's none of my business, but he was part of Retro Magazine. So yeah, he worked with Mike before. I know he knows Mike pretty well. I know he knows how to get a hold of Mike. And then at the very end of the video, he has the audacity to say, anyone involved with this project should come out publicly apologize. This is bullshit, because you are part of the project. You're part of the problem. Basically, like, we were fucking supposed to know that shit was going to happen, right? I mean, to say that it's like this, guys. Like Sony. Okay, let's say the PS4 gets hacked, and all of a sudden, everyone's PS4 fucking dies. It crashes, right? It's like me going to Naughty Dog and saying, Naughty Dog, shame on you for publishing games for this PS4. Explain yourself. Come out and apologize. I mean, it makes no sense to me whatsoever, the logic. And he didn't call me out by name. He didn't say Gamester81. He didn't say Collector Vision Games. But he didn't exclude us either. And then, people have been on Twitter and stuff and Facebook. They've been asking him, like, can you please clarify your stance? He hasn't. Silence speaks louder than words sometimes. So now I know where he stands on this thing. So according to Pat, we are all guilty by association. Because when he worked with Pat for Retro Magazine, it was cool and everything worked out well. But then I worked with Mike with Retro VGS and with Chameleon, and shit hit the storm. And I don't want to bring up the past because I don't know about that. But if I recall, several years ago, Pat was a part of a Kickstarter as well that was kind of controversial, and no one ever asked him to apologize, and no one gave him shit for it. So I don't know why all of a sudden I'm getting fucking and Pat, when you make these things and you're in a position of great power because you have a larger audience even than I do and a lot of other people, and you say these shit, and people listen to you like it's a fucking gospel sometimes, man. I'm like, dude, okay, so I don't know what ever happened to people forming their own opinion, and that's my advice to you guys is please do your homework and realize when you're basing your opinions on these pictures, and all of a sudden these pictures are facts. Has it ever dawned on you that there might be a minute chance, grant you, but there might be a minute chance that maybe there's explanations for some stuff that you see on pictures-wise. maybe there's an explanation for things. Has anyone ever done that? Did he ever dawn to actually reach out to Mike directly and ask Mike if he was so concerned about the retro VGS and the Coleco Chameleon and how the shit was supposed to be? Wouldn't you think that he would actually come to the source and try to find out facts, opposed to like basing his argument based on pictures? And guys, don't get me wrong. I agree. The pictures, they look bad, and I'm on board, and I agree with what you guys are saying. And I'm not saying Mike's innocent. I'm not saying that he's, that he was right in any of this. Right? He fucked up. But we need to get off our fucking high horse. And I'm sorry to say this, but who fucking made Pat judge of the internet? Who made his followers fucking jury during this whole shit? Like, why should I have to go out and apologize for trying to get my name out there or games out there to the masses? What's fucking wrong with that? I'm sorry. This kind of pisses me off a little bit. So you can question my when you start questioning my integrity, which you are, and you question my respect and you start my motivations of getting involved with projects, you're assuming that I'm in it for the ill will, and that's just bullshit. So yes, I'm sorry if you feel that I have caused ill will in the community. I'm sorry if you feel I've done shit wrong. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not going to apologize for fucking trying to do my best for the company. And there's a number of times, and I do apologize to my company as well, to my colleagues at Collector Vision Games. They a number of times said, "Let's get out," and I was calling me. I'm guilty of being ignorant. I'm guilty of being gullible. I'm guilty of being naive. I'm guilty of many things. So I am certainly in no fault. I'm sorry. I don't mean that. I'm certainly at fault in some of this, as far as us still being involved to the very last day, anyway. But I had no idea. This is news to me. So where do I stand on this Chameleon? I'm disappointed. I thought the thought of it was cool. I think Mike is a guy who I think intentions were honestly sincere. I'm not calling him a liar. People assuming he was a liar and he was deceitful. But here's the deal, guys. He owns Retro Magazine. He owns the GameGabble.com, other business entities. Why would he logically, just let's think about this, why would he want to fuck people over intentionally and try to lie and deceive people if he has all these other, would it not affect, and it is affecting his other entities, I'm sure. And you also look at his website, he's got like 6 other guys or 7 other guys on his team that you look at their history and their resume, and they're involved with the gaming community, and they have like a really good strong record, and up to this point, they're legit guys. So what are the odds of all 7 of these guys getting together and saying, how can we fuck people over? How can we do this shit? I don't know. So what are the odds of that? Now, is it possible that Mike maybe did this shit behind their back? Maybe, and that's quite possible. But the odds of all 7 of them or whatever going together and saying, let's try to scam people, I just don't think that makes sense. And if my point is, if you get several takeaways from this video, guys, is A, don't form your own opinion. Please form your own opinion. Don't take shit you hear on one video as gospel. 2, there are always 2 sides of the story. Every story, there's always 2 sides. I feel like in this situation, a lot of people are siding with the side that are, that people want drama, right? And then, in the video on Pat, the very end, of course, he mentions his book, but if you look at his videos views, it's a chameleon shit that's getting a lot of views. And I don't blame the guy. We look at, you want to get controversial shit to get views and subscribers and at the end of the day get money. But when you do that shit on the back of people, and you got to realize when you're talking, bringing something up, you are involving other people and you are affecting the people, myself. And when you start doing that shit and you start affecting other people, that's kind of fucked up in my book, because you're taking the topic, you're not really thinking through it, you're not looking at both sides, you're looking at you're basing your argument on fucking pictures, you're basing your argument on that. You haven't come to the source, you haven't even reached out. No one has reached out to me to ask me what my opinion, my involvement with Collector Vision Games are. I would have been happy to talk to people about it. No one's ever fucking reached out to me. So, I'm kind of thinking, well, you might have done this shit just for the views. I don't know. And then he's like, I'm going to take the gloves off, or you and I are going to talk next week. Gloves off, just all that shit, right? And I'm thinking to myself, gloves off what? Are you going to beat a dead horse? I mean, let's face it, the horse is dead, okay? Why are we going to beat someone while you're down? You're going to kick someone while you're down. Okay, good. Okay, good for you. If you want to do that, that's your prerogative. Go for it. But I really think that maybe society in general, maybe we, in some fucked up way, we like to beat people when they're down. Maybe it helps us in some fucked up way feel better about ourselves because we are kicking someone when they're down. So my take is, yes, I'm like fucked up. It's an ugly situation. I'm extremely fucking pissed because this has affected my company in a way that people are associating us with the chameleon. And it's further from the truth. And I feel bad. I feel bad for Mike. I feel bad for the people involved. I think, but I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and say, you fucking should have done this, you should have fucking did that, you were fucking wrong. That's not who I am. So you take for what it is. That's my opinion. Again, I don't want to fight with Pat. That's the last thing I want. And the last thing I want, guys, is for you to go on his channel and unsubscribe and talk shit and start a war, Team Gamester against Team Pat. I'll tell you right now, he'll probably win because I'm not going to respond much. I'm just going to, I'm washing my hands from it. I'm working on other shit. I've got a Pure Solar Dreamcast review I'm doing. I'm doing a Retro Freak system review I'm working on. So I'm already moving on from this shit. I've learned from it. I'm moving on. I'm growing from it. Let's all move on together. There's no sense of just keeping doing a video over it and getting those views, getting those subscribers. If that's what you want to do, that's your prerogative. Go for it. But I am done with this. I respect Pat. I respect Ian. Again, I hope they come down to Arizona for the Game On Expo. I have nothing against them personally, but this is really bullshit when they start calling people out. And when people start listening to like the fucking gospel, like they're the fucking say all, do all. They're the judge of all internet. And I just don't get that. That's just what kind of pisses me off. So thank you for hearing me. Thank you for hearing me rant. It's good to rant a little bit and just cool off. Appreciate you guys' support. You guys, the community means the world to me. Let's just move forward. As far as Collector Vision games go, we are working on other games. It hasn't really affected us as far as our production. We are working on other games. We're moving on from this, and I hope you guys do too. We'll see you guys soon. Take care and game on.